Lady Macbeth's soliloquy occurs in Act 1, Scene 5, lines 14 to 29. She is speaking about Macbeth becoming king.
She's in her castle in Inverness, and she just got a letter from Macbeth talking about the battle victory and the witch's prophecies. She's worried about his manlyhood and that he won't be able to carry out what must be done. This soliloquy introduces Lady Macbeth by showing her wickedness and ambition for thirst and power.
This develops and shows the motive of becoming queen and strong ambition. She doesn't seem to worry about consequences, like the great chain of being.
For the soliloquy, I'll be annotating literal imagery and symbolism. The first passage in the soliloquy, "Glamorous thou art, and Cotter that shall be what thou art promised," creates the image of Macbeth becoming king. This focuses on Macbeth's prophecies and that Lady Macbeth will help him become king. The sense this appeals to is sight, because Lady Macbeth used her ambition to see Macbeth as king. This helps build the theme by expanding the audience's knowledge on Lady Macbeth's ambition and thirst for power. The next passage, "It is too full of the milk of human kindness," creates the image of Macbeth being filled with nurturing and kind milk, and focuses on Macbeth's kindness and how he'll feel about killing Duncan. The sense this appeals to is sight, because you could see Macbeth is full of nurturing and kingly qualities. This helps build the theme by showing the reader that Lady Macbeth knows she'll have to heavily convince and manipulate Macbeth to kill Duncan and fulfill her ambition. The next passage is "that I may pour my spirits in thine ear." This creates the image of Lady Macbeth giving some of her evil spirits to Macbeth. This focuses on Lady Macbeth's evil thoughts and how she'll lead Macbeth to his doom. The sense this appeals to is sight, because it shows Lady Macbeth tapping out of some of her ambition and giving some to Macbeth. This helps build the theme by showing the reader that Lady Macbeth wishes she could force Macbeth to be as evil and ambitious as her. The final passage, which fate and metaphysical aid doth seem to have thee crowned withal, creates image of fate helping and crowning Macbeth as king. This focuses on fate and prophecy and the roles it plays in Macbeth's story. The sense this appeals to is sight, because you could see Macbeth being crowned. This helps build the theme because Lady Macbeth believes that even the fates want her ambition to be filled.
For Lady Macbeth's soliloquy, I'll be talking about dictation. First are a couple words and phrases that stand out. Shalt be what thou art promised. Lady Macbeth believes that Macbeth is promised the role of king, and it'd be wrong not to become one. Kindness. Macbeth's kindness at the start of the play greatly contrasts to the end, where he loses all his morals. Art not without ambition, but without the illness should attend it. Macbeth has the ambition, but isn't mean enough to do what needs to be done. His morals change throughout the play, and by the end, nothing can stop him from killing. False. This word has multiple meanings. Lady Macbeth is saying that Macbeth doesn't want to cheat, but it also shows how he doesn't want to deceive people, foreshadowing how much they will deceive later on in order to stay in power. Undone. Knowing that it can't be undone will stop Macbeth at first, but eventually his ambition for power takes over. Fate and metaphysical. This means that at first Lady Macbeth believes that Macbeth is meant to be king, but by the end they don't think so anymore. Lady Macbeth's mood in the soliloquy is exciting, power-hungry, but also annoyed that Macbeth still needs convincing to join her. Lady Macbeth is constantly repeating that although Macbeth has ambition, he does not have the mean streak to do what needs to be done. Throughout the play, he eventually becomes mean, but they start to lose all their morals, and foreseen side effects take over. This helps build the theme by showing how strong Lady Macbeth's ambition for power is, and how convincing Macbeth will lead both of them into their doom.
This is Jocelyn speaking, and I will be talking about syntax and structure. These sentence structures created by Shakespeare are short, choppy lines that help develop Lady Macbeth's character. After reading the letter, she is excited at the prospect of becoming queen. Therefore, she takes a breath once or twice in each line, which represents her emotions. The punctuation helps to reinforce this because in the text there are many commas, periods, semicolons, and colons. I noticed that this whole passage is written in a sonnet style. This means that there are 14 lines written in iambic pentameter. Each line has 10 to 12 syllables, which follow a certain pattern. The syllables are arranged in a way where an unstressed syllable is followed by one that is stressed. This is called an iamb. In line 25, it says, "That I may pour my spirits in thine's ear." This is an example of an iamb. Another thing that I have noticed is that there are no rhyming patterns. Iambic pentameters that do not rhyme are called blank verses. My final observation is that the first 12 lines discuss Lady Macbeth's fear of her husband's weakness. She questions his manhood because she believes that Macbeth is incapable of committing the murder of King Duncan. This is the plot in the soliloquy. In the last 2 lines, Lady Macbeth's conclusion to solving this problem is by persuading her husband to complete the task. These last 2 phrases are called the couplet. The entire soliloquy is the turning point. It focuses on Lady Macbeth's ambitious thoughts on persuading her husband into murdering the king. This eventually leads them to their doom. Lady Macbeth is the main source for all the deaths in the play because she triggered the devil in Macbeth, which made him power-hungry. In the beginning of the paragraph, Lady Macbeth feels very strongly about her husband becoming king. She fears that her husband does not have what it takes to steal the throne from Duncan. In the end of the soliloquy, she convinces herself that even the supernatural supports her plan. The passage helps to build the theme because Lady Macbeth's ambition is clearly shown to be very strong. She's extremely desperate for more power and wants her husband to become King of Scotland so she can fill her evil desires to be queen. This will create many problems for them in the future because the Thanes of Scotland will rebel against Macbeth. They suspect him of murder and are aware that the great chain of being has been disturbed, which is causing the strange events to occur. They start a civil war to bring peace back to the country, which resulted in having Macbeth's head chopped off.
For the soliloquy, I will be annotating figurative imagery. In the first passage, too full of the milk of human kindness, Lady Macbeth is using a hyperbole, which is an over-exaggerated statement. Usually, when we think of milk, it is a very warm and nurturing thing. So, when she is saying how he is so full of it, she is over-exaggerating how kind and loving he is. Throughout the play, Shakespeare uses hyperboles. For example, he uses them to express the horrible guilt that Lady Macbeth and Macbeth are feeling after they kill Duncan. This relates to the theme of ambition because it shows the contrast between how strong Lady Macbeth is compared to Macbeth and their wish to gain the crown. In the next passage, what does not play false and yet would strongly win, Lady Macbeth is using a metaphor, which is a figure of substitution. She is saying how Macbeth would not want to commit an act dishonestly, but if somehow he gained something from it, he would be happy. This metaphor is also used in gambling when talking about cheating. This passage relates to the theme of ambition because it foreshadows the wrong act committed by Macbeth, which in this case is murder, forced by the strong ambition of Lady Macbeth. In the next couple words, spirits and golden round, Lady Macbeth uses metonymies, which is when one word is substituted for the name of another. The word spirits, used in the sentence, "that I may pour my spirits in thine ear," represents all of the wickedness and evil that Lady Macbeth believes is inside of her. And the word golden round, used in the sentence, "all that impedes thee from the golden round," represents the crown, which is a sign of power. Shakespeare uses metonymies throughout the rest of the play, especially in descriptions of people or events. For example, in Act 2, Scene 5, metonymy is used to refer to the act of murder. This passage relates to our theme of ambition because it describes the goal she wishes to and will accomplish from her strong ambition. In this next passage, in Chastise with the Valor of My Tongue, Lady Macbeth is using personification, which is when a lifeless figure is spoken about as if it had human qualities. When she is saying, "the valor of my tongue," she is basically saying that her tongue has bravery, which is a human quality. Shakespeare repeats the use of personification throughout the play. For example, in Act 1, Scene 2, line 41, a captain talks about his wounds as if they are screaming. The passage relates to our theme of ambition because her brave tongue is what she's going to use to manipulate Macbeth into having the same strong ambition that she does. The next piece of figurative imagery that Lady Macbeth uses is apostrophe, which is when a figure or person is addressed. In the whole soliloquy, Lady Macbeth addresses Macbeth and talks about his cowardice and weak ambition to get things that he wants. Shakespeare has made apostrophe present in other parts of the play. For example, Macbeth secretly addresses Banquo in Act 3, Scene 2, feeling that Banquo may be untrustworthy. This use of apostrophe relates to the theme of ambition because it shows that she will try as hard as she can to get what she wants, no matter what obstacle, and this shows her strong ambition. The final use of figurative imagery that I have found in this soliloquy is euphemism, which is a figure by which a harsh or offensive idea is stated in an inoffensive manner. Again, just like apostrophe, Lady Macbeth uses this throughout the whole soliloquy. One of the bigger examples of how she uses it is when she talks about murder. Referring back to the metaphor, let us not play false and yet let us wrongly win, she talks about the act of murder as if it were like gambling. As well, she doesn't acknowledge the great chain of being or any consequences that could come with her plans. This relates to our theme of ambition because she has such a strong ambition that she becomes clueless to all the bad things that could and will go wrong after they kill Duncan. She is just way too confident about herself.